So with the patient management system being done, let's move on to administrative part. So let's give our ID and our password. So after login, we can see a beautiful typography here. So the typography shows us how many users are there, how many hospitals are in our system, how many doctors are in your system. So these are just dummy data because the number of users and hospitals and doctors are actually very less. And this graph also is a very beautiful simulated graph. But the map here is very interactive, as we have seen earlier. When we add any new hospital in our system, it automatically adds the hospital in our graph. And now there are some queries involving patient admission in last 24 hours, top deaths in last 24 hours, top diseases administered, and top investigation stuff. So these queries or these statistics actually help us to get a good view of our nation's health system. So better we move on to query part. That's the most important part, and it's most interesting as well. So at first, let's move on to a line graph. So the line graph, in x-axis, we want to put age, and in y-axis, we want to put some confirmatory diagnosis. So the last time I was diseased with diabetes, or my diagnosis was diabetes. So let's just put it here, diabetes. So when I submit this, I can see a line graph, and the graph went to 0 to 1, and the age is 22. So you can now say there is only one entry, that is me, and my age was 22. So the line graph had one entry only. So now I will show you to populate our data and how can I add some more data in this, and this line graph will change. For this, I have created another user, and let's call it random tester, and I will get himself admitted to Dhaka Medical College. For this reason, Dhaka Medical College here. So I take the admission ID and follow the processes all over again. So hospital entry, I paste it, submit it, and it's patient. It have a random tester. So I change the status and go to visiting doctor, and Dr. Rijal Karim is selected. Now Dr. Rijal Karim in his hospital tab can access random tester here, and in his treatment he can write some compulsory fields to fill up first. So after these filling ups, in the sell-in feature I can guess it is compulsory as well. So he gives diabetes as well. The confirmatory diagnosis is also diabetes, and the treatment is insulin. And okay, that's pretty much it. So after writing this, we can simply discharge him, and we go back to our administrator part. So where is it? There. So we refresh the page, and again we give age and diabetes, and we press enter and submit. So our graph is now, it has two entries. One is for age 22 and another is for age 30, and each of these age has value 1 because I was 22 years old and the random tester is 30 years old, and we have only two people in our graph. Now what happens if I have one more user of age 22? So I will do that. So for this purpose, let's do something else. And where is our user? There we go. There's our user, and if I refresh this page, the current hospital will go because I have been discharged and the random user has found his medication history. So just log out, and let's see, I have created some IDs as well. So let's just copy it, paste it, and there we go. So is another user. So what he's going to do, he's going to find hospital now. He's going to admit it in Dhaka Medical College as well. So we copy the admission ID of Dhaka Medical College from here, put it in his 8-digit code, submit it. We go to his patients tab and we see Dihan admitted, and we change his status visiting doctors, and the doctor is Dr. Rizal Karim. Submit it again. In the Dr. Rizal Karim's tab, I can access Dihan. So I go and in his salient feature, I do the same things. So like I diabetes. So confirmatory diagnosis this as well. So let's write the same thing. And there are some compulsory fields out there as far as I remember. Write this as well. So occupation, contact. So now I discharge him as well. And when I discharge him, I will see his current hospitals will go. So I can easily log out. And I go to the administrator part again to run with the query. So I now refresh the page and go with the process. So age and diabetes. So now, okay, so I forgot to press enter. So now the line graph is changed because there are two entries of age 22 years old. One is me and another is Dihan. And there is only one entry for 30 years old, that is the random tester. So that's how we can generate the line graph. Now, interestingly, we can add more parameters here for, in the y-axis. Let's now see that. So for that, let's now use another user. For now, the another user can be taken from this guy and his password. So I have created some users. He is Hermit, so he has to get admitted to Dhaka Medical College. He is currently in 2 hospitals. So let's add Dhaka Medical College as well. So admission ID, let's copy that. And I'm going to paste here. So when I type submit, Dhaka Medical College is added in the current hospitals. So when I go to the patients tab, I can see Hermit here is new and doctor not assigned. So let's say I go to the boarding process again and I go to my doctor tab. I'm sure that's it. So I'm accessing Hermit, and in his confirmatory diagnosis, I will be writing something different. Let's say I'm writing stroke and stroke. So in the treatment, I can say painkiller. Okay, so now I am going to discharge him as well. Okay, I forgot to write some compulsory fields. So let me write those and let me now discharge him. So when I discharge him and I go back to my graph again, I refresh that and let's generate my line graph. But now I will generate the line graph for 2 different parameters. One is diabetes. The graph is already generated, and the second parameter will be stroke. So I think that was not the pronunciation. Okay, stroke. So yes, I'm finding 2 entries. So one is for diabetes and the second one is for stroke. And the stroke entry is interestingly, there is no entry in the 30 years old. We processed Hermit. Hermit was 22 years old. And we have 2 entries for diabetes. One is me and another is my friend. And we have 1 entry for diabetes in 30 years old. That's how we can generate the line graph. And as the patient data grows, the line graph catches dynamic. So it becomes very beautiful. And so if we want to see bar graph, it's also very beautiful. So with respect to age, I am watching diabetes and I am watching stroke as well. So if I submit that, so I have some bar graph. This bar graph is, I think, more helpful to visualize. So 22 years old, there are 2 groups, clustered groups. One is for diabetes and the second one is for stroke. But in the second clustered group for 30 years, there is no stroke patient, so this entry is empty. So that's how we can generate a line graph and bar graph. Now, very interesting feature is we can copy that result as well. Just we can copy it and we can paste it anywhere. Like let's say I'm making a PowerPoint presentation, so I can paste it here. So let's say I just add new slide and paste it here. So that's how these query reports are not only perfect, they're also easy to reuse. And not only just this, I can also download this query. So if I press download, this is query report is downloaded, and if I want to see it, this is my query data. Okay, so now the one thing is remaining, it is the heat map. Oftentimes we need heat map to get an overview of a disease or something. So the disease name should be diabetes, because all of the patients are diagnosed with diabetes. So the starting age and ending age, we just keep that, and the gender is, we just keep that regardless, and we can generate our heat map. So in the heat map, we can see it is very small because our number of users are very small, and most of them are from this area. Why? Because in this area, Dhaka Medical College is situated, and most of our patients are diagnosed with different diseases in this area. That is, most of the patients that were diagnosed with diabetes were from Dhaka Medical College. But there's a very little dot here, I guess. Whenever I was in Sohrawardy Medical College, then I was diagnosed with diabetes, and for that purpose, this is showing showing the circle, and we can compare these circles. This circle is quite bigger because many patients got diagnosed with diabetes here, and small amount of patients, that is just one, got diagnosed here. So we fix the logic accordingly. So that's the part of the query. So I guess the query is very easily visualizable, and it's very accurate as well. And we can copy it and paste it anywhere, as we have done in our PowerPoint presentation. We can also paste it in Messenger or any other places. We can also download the query, and the download feature will be coming to our use in few seconds.